What if your progress isn't supposed to happen all at once, but step by step? Why do we get frustrated when change doesn't happen instantly? And what if not seeing clearly yet doesn't mean you're not being healed? There are moments in life when we expect immediate results. We want clarity now. We want answers now. We want change to be quick, visible, and complete. Anything less than that feels like something is wrong. But what if that expectation is the problem? Imagine someone who has lived without sight, not temporarily, not occasionally, but consistently. Day after day, navigating life without the ability to see clearly, relying on others, adjusting constantly, living within limits that most people don't even think about. Then one day everything begins to change, not through personal effort, not through gradual training, but through an encounter, something unexpected, something beyond normal experience. He is brought forward, not by himself, but by others. This is important, because sometimes when we cannot move forward on our own, others help carry us closer to change. They see what we cannot see. They believe when we struggle to. They guide us when we feel stuck. And in that moment, he is placed in a position where something different can happen. But the process is not what anyone expects. Instead of a quick, instant transformation, something slower begins. A first step. Not complete clarity, not full restoration, but something. He begins to see, but not clearly. Shapes, movement, blurred outlines. It's progress, but it's not perfect. And this is where many people struggle, because partial change can feel confusing. It raises questions. Why isn't it complete? Why is this taking longer than expected? Is something wrong with me? But what if nothing is wrong? What if this is exactly how the process is meant to unfold? Because not all transformation is immediate. Some happens in stages, and each stage matters. The first step is not the final result, but it is necessary. It shows that something is happening, that change has begun, that what was once impossible is now in motion. But it also reveals something deeper, that growth is not always about speed. It is about direction. Moving from where you were toward where you are meant to be, even if that movement feels slow. Even if the results are not fully visible yet. There is also something powerful about the second step, the continuation, because after the first moment of progress, there could have been a pause, a stopping point, an acceptance of this is good enough. But that's not what happens. There is a continuation of the process, a willingness to go further, to not settle for partial clarity, to move toward fullness, and then everything changes. Clarity comes, not blurred, not uncertain, but clear, complete, restored. And suddenly, what was once limited is now open. What was once unclear is now understood. What was once out of reach is now fully visible. This moment is powerful, but it also raises a question. Why didn't it happen all at once? Why the two steps? Why the process? Because sometimes gradual change teaches what instant change cannot. It builds awareness, it develops patience, it creates appreciation. When something happens instantly, it can be taken for granted. But when it unfolds step by step, each stage is recognized, valued, understood. There is also a lesson in trust, because when the first result is incomplete, it requires faith to continue, to believe that more is possible, to not walk away too soon, to not assume that what you see now is all there will be. This applies to many areas of life. Personal growth, understanding, healing. Progress often starts before it becomes obvious. You may feel different before you see results. You may be changing internally before it shows externally. And if you stop too early, you miss what comes next. This is where many people lose momentum. They experience partial progress, but because it's not complete, they become discouraged. They assume it's not working. They step back, and the process is interrupted. But what if they had continued? What if they had trusted that what started would continue, that what began would be completed? This is the challenge, to stay in the process, to remain engaged, to not give up when things are not perfect yet. Because perfection is often the result of persistence, not instant change. There is also something significant about how the process is personal. It doesn't happen in the middle of a crowd. It is not performed for attention. It is quiet, intentional, focused. Because some changes are not meant to be public. They are meant to be personal, deep, individual. Not everything needs to be seen by others. Some of the most important transformations happen in private, where there is no pressure, no comparison, just process. And this creates space for real change, without distraction, without expectation, just steady movement forward. This is important because comparison often slows progress. When you look at others and see their results, it's easy to feel behind, to feel like your process is too slow, too incomplete. But every process is different. Every journey has its own pace. And what matters is not how fast you move, but that you continue moving. There is also a deeper message here about clarity, not just physical, but internal. Because many people walk through life without clear understanding. They see things partially. They interpret situations based on limited perspective. They react without full awareness. And as a result, they make decisions that are not aligned with truth. But clarity changes that. When you see clearly, you respond differently. You understand better, you move with intention, and that clarity often comes through process, through learning, through growth, through moments where things don't fully make sense yet. So if you're in a place where things feel unclear, don't assume you're stuck. You may be in the middle of your process, not at the end, not at the beginning, but in between. And that in between matters. Because it is where development happens, where understanding deepens, where strength builds. You may not see everything clearly yet, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something is still unfolding. So the question becomes personal. Are you willing to stay in the process? Are you willing to continue even when results are not complete? Are you willing to trust that what started will continue? Or will you stop because it's not perfect yet? This choice matters, because stopping too early can keep you from what's next. But continuing opens the door for completion, for clarity, for transformation. And often what you experience at the end is worth the process, worth the waiting, worth the patience, because it brings you to a place you could not have reached instantly, a place of understanding, of appreciation, of growth that is not just external, but internal. And that kind of growth lasts. It stays with you. It shapes how you see, how you think, how you live. So don't rush the process. Don't reject partial progress. Don't give up because it's not complete yet. Because what you're experiencing right now may be the beginning of something greater. Something that is still unfolding, still developing, still moving toward clarity. And when it comes together, you'll see the difference. Clearly, fully, completely. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, follow the channel, and share it with someone who needs encouragement today. Your support helps spread this message of growth and clarity to more people. And be sure to watch the full video to go deeper into this powerful perspective.